Okay, welcome. I think we are live. I am just going to pull up the listing here. So welcome. As folks are coming in, I always encourage you to introduce yourself, give us your first name, your business. Feel free to share your social media handles and tell us where you're from. We definitely want to make sure we're using the chat to get to know each other. In addition to asking questions, of course, we're going to be using the chat throughout the conversation and the workshop presentation today. But also, before we get started, we definitely want you to be using that chat to get to know one another. For sure. So I am talking to the camera here, and I'm going to be kind of looking to my right a few times, sometimes, because that's where my laptop is. So if you see me looking over to the right, it may be the left for you because of the flipped reflection. Do not be alarmed by that. So welcome. And let me pull up these comments. Go ahead and again, start introducing yourself. I see a couple of people have come in to join us. So introduce yourself today. Give us your business, where you're from. I'm definitely going to shout you out. And I do have a welcome message in the chat. It got a little broken up. So hopefully you're able to see it, but there is a link. It's also in the actual description for the video. Laura has provided us a 5-minute office yoga practice that you can receive from her. It's a kit for free. So you can click that link in the description box. It's probably easier to click it there and go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. It was also in the description box when you registered. So you may have seen it there, but if not, go ahead and check it out in the description box. And she has some other goodies she's going to share with us too. I think Laura, I'm going to put your link for the stress kit in the description box as well.
Cool. Thank you. And yeah, sorry, I'll be looking down because my camera's on a high tripod when I eventually teach. So sorry if you keep seeing my the top of my head.
No worries. So I think we're going to wait a couple of minutes. So 6:04, we'll go to maybe 6:05, and then we will go ahead and get started. Welcome to those who are joining us on the replay and we're not able to join us live. That's okay. So glad you're able to join us on the replay today. And we hope that you get a lot out of this workshop and that you begin to use these movement practices in your daily routine because it's so important. We're sitting at our desk. We're working for hours and hours and hours on our laptops. And it is so important for us to be able to take care of our bodies while we're doing that. So, okay, it's 6:05 now. So I'm going to straighten out my camera 1 second and then we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome again. I know there's a little bit of a delay. So if you're just joining us, go ahead in the comment section, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you're from, tell us about your business. I definitely want to shout you out. I want to make sure that everyone who is joining us gets an opportunity to get to know you. So I first want to start by introducing myself. If this is your first time seeing my face, my name is Angel Mills. I am currently residing in beautiful Georgia at the moment, and I do brand strategy work for businesses. So I essentially help entrepreneurs to connect with their target audience, their ideal audience, their client communities is a word that I love to use. And I do brand coaching, I do educational services, and I also do services for hire for entrepreneurs. And starting in August, I started a new series where I am partnering with other entrepreneurs around the world. Essentially, we have some speakers who are going to be speaking to us from other countries as well, who are subject matter experts in areas of business and wellness. And we are partnering together from now until the end of the year to have some insightful conversations, workshops, and Q&A chats about business and wellness. Because as an entrepreneur, I know how hard it is. A lot of times we talk about business and how to do well in your business, but we don't talk about how to be holistically well. I'm not seeing a lot of platforms for those conversations. And so I really wanted to start this series, not only for my audience, my Angel Mills Brand Strategy audience, but also for my Atlanta Business Strategy Meetup audience. Some of you are joining us here from the Meetup group here in Atlanta. And I wanted to have more conversations and how-to workshops for how we can actually incorporate wellness into our practices, into our daily lives, because just as entrepreneurship is a lifestyle, wellness is a lifestyle as well. So go ahead and check out our upcoming conversations. If you've registered for this one, you will get emails about subsequent conversations we're going to be having. We will be meeting about 3 times a month right here on YouTube. So if you go ahead and register, you will get the links. And our next conversation is going to be September 30th, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here. And we're going to be talking about how to build business credit. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely join us. So now I've gotten all that out of the way, I have to introduce our guest who has taken some valuable time out of her day, who is joining us from Oregon. Please keep Oregon and the West Coast in your prayers. You know, a lot of folks are dealing with fires over there. So it's definitely an adjustment in living. And I was talking to Laura about that earlier today. So we're so happy, despite all of the things that are going on where she is in the world, that she is still able to join us. So Laura, I'm going to go ahead and read your bio. So Laura Binder-Hines is a registered dietitian and 500-hour yoga and meditation instructor who specializes in corporate wellness. She has provided chair yoga classes in the corporate setting for several years. Hundreds of people who work long hours at their desk have experienced a shift from tense to tranquil, thanks to the simple tools they learned from these practices. Laura loves to share the greatest hits from this program so more people can transform their workday routine into one that helps them feel less stressed, more comfortable, and focused quickly. So I thought when Laura reached out to me, I actually put out a call out for speakers. And when she reached out to me, I was so excited because I know so many people are working from home. A lot of us had to make some makeshift office setups because many of us didn't even have a home office to transition into to begin working from home. And so it has definitely taken a toll at this point on our bodies. And so I really wanted to talk to her and to learn from her about how we can work on our posture while we're sitting and different stretches and movements we can do with our bodies to keep our spines healthy and to keep everything aligned. So thank you so much, Laura, for joining us today.
Yeah, well, thank you, Angel. And I'm really happy to be able to be in my apartment teaching today. Yes. We have not been evacuated. We are one of the very few counties. I'm in Portland, so the city itself, which is pretty protected, relatively speaking, with everything going on. And thankfully, I have enough lighting in the apartment so that you can see me okay, because I don't have any natural light to work with today, unfortunately. However, we're hoping to get rain in the next week or so, which will hopefully make this situation a lot better. So pray for rain, everybody.
Absolutely.
Any special chance I should know about, share them in the comments. Maybe we'll do them at the end of class. We'll see.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, let me introduce Dolores. She is joining us from California. She does life coaching and transformation consulting. So we're so happy to have you, Dolores. If anyone else wants to go ahead and introduce themselves, I know a lot of people are looking at this from their phone. You may be driving or doing something else. So if you're not able to participate in the comments, we totally understand, but we want to thank you again so much for coming. So Laura, is there anything you want to share before we get into the workshop portion?
Yeah, so if anyone wants to share in the chat, if this is your first time doing yoga, let me know. Or if you already have an established yoga practice, but maybe you've never incorporated into your actual workday before, or this might be your first time practicing yoga from a chair, I'd love to hear about it. Or if there's anything you want to actually stretch or target, or if something feels tight today or just off in any way, feel free to share. Because even though I do have a lesson plan in front of me, I can always add more to it. So it can really help you today.
Mm-hmm.
So feel free to share in the comments, and hopefully we'll see them in a few seconds. But before we really get started, I highly recommend that you make sure that you are seated in a chair that is not going to move at the same time that you are moving. So if you are in a chair that is on wheels, either lock the wheels or prop up the chair so that it's not moving. You can even practice from your couch if you need to sort of find a new seat to work from today. That will work. You want to make sure that both of your feet can be flat to the floor while you're seated in the chair. This is more for safety reasons, but also for you to get the most out of your practice so you're not distracted about potentially losing your balance while we do anything in the chair. I'm going to eventually move my way back so I have more room to move, but in the meantime, do what I call the flail test. Reach your arms out to the sides, make sure you're not hitting into anyone or anything that you don't want to be hitting into. But you are welcome to be practicing with other people in your household right now. Just make sure you have enough space for all of you to move at the same time. I also recommend that you silence all other electronic devices that might be a source of distraction for you, but you're also welcome to play your own relaxing music if you want to set up like your home chair yoga studio for the next half hour or so. This will be about a 20-minute mindful movement practice and probably a 5 to 10 minute mindfulness breathing exercise that is really designed to help you relax within a minute or less. It is a specific breathing exercise that is powerful and effective and easy to do. And as we go through our movement practice today, I recommend that you kind of take some mental notes of things that might feel good to you today, or things that might be a little bit different, but maybe you want to incorporate into your daily routine. Might be a stretch that you think would work as something that you can do between checking emails or between conference calls, or maybe something that you do to begin your workday or end your workday, and help you to create that work-life balance and a bit of boundaries throughout your day so that you can really check in with yourself and feel your best on a physical and emotional level. So that's what's really exciting, because you can do this practice dressed in business casual attire or more casual. You can do this in almost any situation or environment, potentially with a little bit of customization, but it's all possible for you to allow this practice to meet you wherever you are and in whatever you might be wearing. So I'm so glad that those of you who are joining live, you're here live today, and I would love to hear from you in the chat or the comments. And for anyone watching the replay, you can always reach out to me with any questions, either through the chat, or you can reach out to me at Laura, Laura, at lbhwellness.com. And I really love hearing from you with any questions or comments or feedback in any way. So, do we have anything else in?
So yes, do we have any questions before we go ahead and get started? When we get started, I'm going to remove myself from the screen so you'll just see Laura and she'll walk you through the workshop. After we're done with that portion, go ahead and still stay with us. You'll be able to ask some questions, and Laura is going to talk to us about some of her resources and ways that you can work with her if you are interested in doing so. So if we don't have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and say I'll see you later. See you in a few more minutes. See you in a few minutes. And I'm going to let Laura go ahead and take it away.
And I'm going to plug in my other mic so you can hear me better when I move away from the laptop. So hopefully we are good to go. You should be able to hear me. So I'm going to move my way back so you can see me a little bit better. So like I said, make sure that you're seated in a chair that's not going to move while you are moving. And give yourself that space to move freely. So do your flail test. Make it as awkward as you want. I'm sure the people that live in the apartment building right next door to us have seen me do some really strange movements. And it's okay. I've made it a fun game. Let's see what they think of me after the pandemic is over and they've seen me teach so many classes. All right. So allow yourself to find a comfortable position in your chair. Allow your feet to be flat to the floor. Let your hands rest comfortably either in your lap, or if you have arms on your chair, you can rest your arms there. And just allow your eyes to close.
Or if that doesn't feel comfortable for you right now, you can allow your gaze to settle on a point in front of you that's not going to move, and just allow your gaze to soften. But find a situation or shape that allows you to just settle. Allow the breath to flow naturally. And know that you can create a movement or mindful related micro break that you can incorporate into any schedule that you find yourself working within. If you have back-to-back meetings for hours at a time, if you have a super long to-do list, or maybe you have to commit to being 110% on for some special events or projects you may be working on. Allow yourself to have a ritual or a practice that you can turn to for as little as a minute at a time. And it could simply be this shape right here if needed. Allowing yourself to sit up well with your shoulders softening away from your ears, with your breath flowing in and out of the nose, or in through the nose and out through the mouth. But take a moment here just to see how you feel right now. What energy are you working with this Sunday evening? And know that whatever you find is okay. In any yoga or mindfulness practice, nothing is really good or bad. It just is. It's neutral pieces of information that you don't have to invest any emotion into if you don't want to, or if it's not going to be of benefit to you. You can allow this information to come in through the mind and easily float out with practice. Take a couple more breaths here. All right, and if your eyes were closed, you can gently blink them open after your next exhale. And then from here, when you get to your next exhale, start to gently rotate your torso towards your right. So your feet are still planted to the floor, your knees are pointing straight ahead. You're just rotating from your navel all the way up to the crown of your head towards the right. So your hands can be on the outside of the thigh. Maybe you use the arm on your chair if you have one to work with. And your chin is lined up over the center of your chest. You're not straining your gaze or your head to look over your shoulder. Make this as gentle as possible because this is how we're starting our practice today. This is a way for you to check in with the lower back, maybe the upper back, maybe even the neck or the jaw. So take a couple more breaths here. Inhaling here. And then on your next exhale, come back to neutral, allowing your hands to rest in your lap. Again, finding that neutral position with a little more support from the abdominal muscles. So a very slight engagement here as a way to protect the lower back. Inhaling to sit up well. And then on your next exhale, rotate to the other side. You're turning towards your left. So I'm mirroring you. Hopefully the video is not trying to correct for that. So you're turning towards your left. Shoulders drawing away from the ears. Chin is lined up over the center of your chest once again, so you're not straining your neck. And you should be able to breathe fully here. So know that you have complete control over how deep you take this. And it doesn't need to be exaggerated or a source of strain for you in any way. Take one more breath. And then when you get to your next exhale, once again, come back to center. Let the spine be neutral. Take a moment here to just, and if it feels right for you, you can even sort of shimmy a little bit, shake it out. Okay, with both feet flat to the floor, hands can start resting in your lap, again, sitting up well, but you don't want this to be an exaggerated puffing of the chest. So good posture doesn't mean that you're doing the exact opposite of slouching by drawing the shoulders way back. Find that middle ground where you actually feel support instead of strain. Okay, from here, on your next inhale, reach your left arm overhead, fingertips pointing up towards the ceiling, shoulder drawing away from your ear. And then from here, ground down, especially into that left hip as you start to lean over towards your right. So this is a way to get a little more of a stretch through the side of the body. You might also feel this in the lower back a little bit. You might even feel this a little bit in the outer hip, depending on what your body's working with today. So take another breath or two here, trying not to crunch that left shoulder up towards the ear. See if you can keep that space in the neck. And then inhale to come back up to center, allowing the arm to come down. And we'll switch sides. Right arm will reach up overhead, draw that shoulder down, sitting up well still. And then on the exhale, lean towards your left. Draw both shoulders down. See if you need to relax the jaw, and if so, relax the jaw. Might even mean that you need to open the mouth for the jaw to relax. Both feet are planted. That right hip is just a little bit heavier than your left. Take another breath here. And then inhaling to slowly make your way back up, back to neutral. And from here, we're actually going to make our way to stand and use our chair as a potential prop. So I am actually going to make my way towards my laptop real quick just to check the chat. I think we're okay. Anything else coming in? Nope, we're good. I'm just going to move my video a little bit up. So we should be good there. I recommend that you give yourself some space between you and either the back of your chair or the seat of your chair, and give yourself some space to move on either side as well. We're going to begin with something called sun breaths, standing. I'm going to quickly demonstrate a couple of options that you'll have available to you, and it's up to you to figure out what's going to be the most appropriate for you today, depending on how your hamstrings feel, the muscles on the backs of your thighs, how your lower back might feel, and even how your shoulders feel today. It's all up to you to figure out what works best, and you might need to experiment a little bit. So first, make sure that you're setting yourself up with your feet hip distance apart, toes pointing straight forward, and I'll quickly run through the shapes that I'll be verbally guiding you through, so you're not craning your neck. So you can be using your chair as a midway point, or hands can come to your shins or the floor for that forward fold, and then either coming halfway up to your chair or your shin, and then exhaling to fold again to whatever that full shape is, inhaling to come up, and exhaling back to center. So just so you know what kind of space you have to work with, set yourself up appropriately, and then we'll dive in a little more specifically now. So again, making sure your feet are hip distance apart, knees are soft, and your toes are pointing straight forward. From here, standing up tall and allow your arms to reach up on your inhale. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Take a full breath here. Just notice how this feels. Still keeping the knees soft. You're not locking the knees here. When you get to an exhale, let your hands come to your chair to start out, just coming closer to your forward fold. And I invite you to actually bend your knees and just notice how this feels for your lower back. If you want to take this a little further, your hands don't have to stay on your chair. They can come down to your shins as you let the head drop. You can keep the knees bent. Notice how your back feels. If this is accessible, hands can come to the floor. Again, keeping the knees bent. Notice how this feels. If you want to take this one step further, if the hands are on the floor, maybe you start to straighten the legs without locking the knees. And just notice how this feels. Breathe here. And then on your next inhale, come up halfway with the torso. Your hands can come to your shins or maybe to your chair as you lengthen the crown of the head forward and draw your thigh bones back. Knees can be bent here as well. This is a way to find length along the spine and invite you to just see how it feels to engage your core here. So very slight engagement of the abdominal muscles to support the lower back. When you get to your next exhale, again, come into that forward fold. Hands can be on the floor or your shins or still on your chair. Breathe here. On your next inhale, rise all the way up to stand, reach the arms overhead. And then on your next exhale, let the hands come to the heart or by your sides. So we're going to take this through a flow. You take the shapes that feel the most accessible to you. You can go at whatever pace feels right as well. As long as you are breathing and moving at the same time, you are practicing yoga. You do not need to follow me exactly. Okay? So on an inhale, reach your arms overhead. When you get to an exhale, hands come down, maybe to your chair, maybe to your shins, maybe the floor as you come into your forward fold. Inhale to come up halfway, hands to the shins or your chair, crown of the head forward. Exhale to fold once again. On an inhale, rise all the way up to stand, arms up. And exhale, hands to the heart or by your sides. We'll try this 2 more times. Again, go at whatever pace feels right. Inhale to reach up. When you get to an exhale, fold forward, whatever that shape may be. Inhale to lengthen halfway. Exhale to fold. Inhale to rise all the way up. Exhale, back to center. Inhale, reaching up. Exhaling to fold forward over the legs. You can bend the knees as much as you need to. Inhaling to lengthen as you come up halfway. And exhale to fold. Inhale to rise all the way up. And exhale, back to center. We'll actually try 1 more. Inhale, reaching up. Exhaling to fold, bending the knees as much as you need to. The torso doesn't have to come all the way down if that's too much. Inhaling to rise halfway. Exhaling to fold. Inhaling to rise up. Exhaling back to center. Okay. So a sun breath could be your go-to thing to do between each email. It takes less than a minute to do. Just an idea. Okay. From here, we're going to take this into a couple of standing poses that are helpful for the hips as well as the hamstrings, and allow us to kind of warm up a little bit, get energized in case we're feeling a little bit sluggish or lethargic or just off. These are power poses. Okay. So take a big step forward with the right foot. It'll be closer to your chair than what we just did. So your right foot steps forward, toes are pointing straight forward, and your left foot, that back foot, has the heel planted, so it might not be too long of a stance. And the left toes are pointing at about 10 o'clock, if you're looking at a clock for reference. They're at an angle. From there, your hips are pointing straight forward toward your chair, and then you start to put a bend into the right knee. This is a very common standing pose called Warrior One. So we're working with that right now. Your right knee is tracking over the right ankle as best you can. Your back heel is still planted, and you might notice a stretch in that back calf. You're welcome to keep your hands on your hips or maybe hold on to your chair for a little more stability, or you can reach your arms overhead. And this is a really powerful pose, a really great way to wake up quickly. You're welcome to stay here, or if you want to add a little bit more, kind of multitask a bit, you can have your palms face forward as you bend your elbows to 90 degrees. Your elbows will line up with your shoulders. You could stay here. This is a nice chest opener, or you can add a little bit of movement. When you get to an inhale, draw your shoulder blades closer to each other. Maybe your gaze comes up a little bit to really open through the chest. And as you exhale, round the upper back, draw the shoulder blades apart from each other as you bring the arms forward. Palms and forearms might touch. Your gaze can come down. Inhale to open, broaden, Stretch a little. Exhale to come forward and round. So matching this to your breath as best as you can, or just making sure that you're not holding your breath as you move. Still keeping that front knee bent. Legs are strong and stable. Try one more round if you're moving. Otherwise, just take one more cycle of breath if you're still. And then everyone will come to neutral. Let the hands come to your hips. From here, bring your gaze down to the big toe mound of that front foot, your right foot. And with that, really press the ground away from you with the big toe mound of that foot to straighten the front leg without locking the knee. Inhaling to stand up tall, really lengthen the spine out of your hips. And on your next exhale, start to hinge forward, allowing the torso to come down. Legs are strong. Maybe your hands come to your hips or your chair. Or if your hamstrings feel pretty open today, maybe your hands come down to your shin once again, or maybe the floor. This is triangle forward bend. Right hip is drawing back. And take a couple breaths here. Finding length along the spine and trying to soften the shoulders away from your ears. Take one more breath. And then grounding down into both feet, slowly rise up. Start to shift your weight a little more forward into that front foot. So the left foot steps up, and we're going to switch sides. Left foot forward, right foot steps back. Use whatever furniture around you to help you if you need it for balance. So I always end up using our counter. So right heel grounded, and it's going to be your anchor here as you start to put a bend into that left knee. Left knee tracks over the ankle. And from here, hands to your hips, or if you need it, maybe it comes to your chair. You can hang out here, or maybe your arms reach straight up towards the ceiling. Breathing. You can choose to stay here, or palms turn forward, elbows bend, elbows in line with the shoulders, cactus arms. You can stay here, or you can come into the cat-cow variation to move a little more. Inhaling to broaden and open and stretch. Exhaling to round. Gaze can come down. Inhaling to open. Exhaling to round, bending that left knee still. All of this power in the legs to give you the stability to move in the upper body. Breathing as you move. Taking whatever range of motion feels right for you. Going at whatever pace feels accessible. Take one or two more rounds or cycles of breath if you are staying still. And then neutralize the spine wherever you are. Hands will come to your hips. Start to straighten that front leg by grounding down into the big toe mound of that left foot. Inhale to stand up tall out of the hips as you start to draw that left hip back. And on an exhale, keeping the spine long, starting to fold forward, lengthening the crown of the head towards the front of your practice space. Hands can be on your hips. Maybe they come to your chair. Maybe they come to your shin. Or maybe your hands frame that left foot coming to the floor. Find whatever shape works for you. It may be different from your first side, but check in, see how you feel. Allow your breath to flow. And if you notice that you're holding your breath, it means you probably should back out a little bit so you can find a shape that feels accessible for you, where you're still able to find a nice stretch, but your breath isn't jagged or short or feels restricted in any way. So you don't sacrifice your breathing with whatever shape you think you should be in, because should doesn't exist in yoga. When you get to your next inhale, ground down into your feet, keep the knees soft as you slowly rise back up to neutral. Start to shift your weight slightly forward as you step that back foot up to meet your front foot. And then we'll make our way back to sit. So I'm going to turn my camera down slightly and also check the comments again if we have any questions, comments. I think we're good. Cool. All right. So hopefully that felt good. Maybe taking a mental note of something you can do during the workday that feels easy and of benefit to you. Okay? These don't have to be super, super strong poses for you to get a nice feeling from or to feel more comfortable after you do it. Okay? From here, we're going to make our way into one of my favorite hip stretches and really just paying a little more attention to the lower body. And then we'll get into the shoulders and the neck. So I invite you to either cross your left thigh over your right, or you can take it a little bit deeper by crossing the ankle over the top of the thigh as well. If neither of those options work for you, you can always have the foot stay down, or maybe step it out to the side if you have the space. This will stretch more of the inner thigh than the outer, but that's cool. So take your pick. You got 3 shapes to work with. And then from here, inhale to sit up well, shoulders drawing away from your ears. You may already feel a stretch in your outer left hip. If so, then this is where you stop, and this is your stretch for today. If you want to take this a little further, either with ankle to knee or with your thigh stacked over the other thigh, you can, or with the leg out to the side, you can start to hinge forward, keeping your spine long, keeping the crown of the head, keeping the back of the neck long as well, meaning your gaze is down towards the floor and probably a few feet in front of you. Think of it as you're trying to not wrinkle the back of your neck. Okay? Breathing here. Noticing how this feels. And then inhaling to slowly make your way back up. Coming to neutral. So if you're in ankle to knee or with the thigh over thigh, as long as that foot is not touching the floor, you have this additional option to roll the ankle of that top foot. And for me, and this is also kind of a wrist stretch as well. So that left hand, you're also going to rotate it with the foot as you potentially look at the foot, because that will actually help you increase the range of motion. This is something I've learned after going to PT for a lot of ankle injuries. So I have a lot of scar tissue that kind of limits my range of motion, and this trick does the job. And the more erratic you can make the fingers, the easier it is for the ankle to move, weirdly enough. Okay, so play with that. And then switch the direction of the rotation. Okay. Okay. All right, so from here, you can let that all come to stillness, let the foot come down, and we're going to switch and do the other side. So again, you have those same options for the lower body. Maybe you're crossing thigh over thigh, maybe it's ankle to knee, or maybe you're stepping the leg out at almost a 90-degree angle, or it could be a little bit less than that. Find what works for you. Once you've gotten your shape with the legs, sit up well. And notice if there's any sensation already in the outer right hip. And if there is, that's cool. Just means that you're getting to the destination faster than the rest of us. It's more of an efficient journey for you. If you want to take this deeper, with this lengthened spine, so you're not going to round the upper body to be here, first, make sure you have that integrity in the spine to then move forward with the upper body. Your gaze comes down towards the floor and a little bit forward as you breathe. And working with hip openers is especially important for anyone who sits or stands for long periods of time because our hip muscles stabilize our pelvis, especially when we're trying to hold a position for hours at a time. Okay? And hip opening or hip stretches help to stretch the lower back as well, but it's more indirect. So for people with sensitive backs, sometimes these stretches are more effective than directly stretching the lower back muscles. Okay? Take another breath or two here. When you get to your next inhale, slowly come back up. And if you're in a leg shape where the foot is not touching the floor, you have the option to add those ankle rolls and maybe flail a bit with that right hand. Right ankle, right hand, same side of the body. So this is a more troublesome side for me. I am never able to get this smooth. So I always have to use the hand. Okay, and then switch the direction. So see how this works for you. Okay. All right, so if you were doing that, you can actually shake out both hands just to shake out the wrists a little bit. Let the foot come down. If it helps, you can kind of shake out the legs in any way that feels right for you. Do whatever you got to do to sort of reset from that. And from here, we're going to roll out the shoulders a little. So let me just make sure my mic wire is not in the way for this one. Okay, hands can rest comfortably in your lap, or you can let them dangle by your sides if you don't have arms on your chair. And then simply roll the shoulders. Pick one direction to roll in a few circles. This is a way to relax the shoulder muscles, but also soften the muscles in the neck, again, without directly targeting them. So this is usually a really good warm-up for neck stretches, which is exactly what we're going to do after this. Okay, this is another thing I learned from my journey through PT for other injuries. So take another round. Allow the shoulders to come down. And then from here, switch the direction and go in the opposite way for a few rounds. So this is something you can do even while you're in conference calls if you're not on video, or maybe if you are on video, and encourage everyone else in your call to do the same. And then everyone's shoulders might feel a little bit better. Win-win. Okay, and then allowing the shoulders to be still once again. Hands can rest in your lap or again by your sides. I don't necessarily recommend on your arms of your chair because you want the shoulders to be able to really drop down as much as comfortably possible. Okay, sitting up well from here, shoulders drawing away from your ears. See if you can soften the jaw and the muscles on the face as much as you can. This might even be helpful for you to close your eyes to make that easier. Okay, once you feel steady, allow your left ear to drop over your left shoulder, still keeping both shoulders drawing away from your ears, and you're also keeping your shoulders parallel to the floor. You're not leaning your upper body toward your left as well. The head is the only thing that's tilting to the side. You're welcome to take this a little bit deeper in two ways. Still keeping the head dropped off to the side, your right hand can reach at an angle towards where the floor and the wall may meet on your right side. So this might deepen or change the stretch in the side of your neck. If you want to do something slightly different, instead of reaching out to the side, that hand can actually travel behind you, maybe resting on the small of the back, or you can use your left hand to hold on to your right wrist and guide the hand further over to the side as you continue to draw your left ear over your left shoulder. You might notice that your opposite shoulder might lift up when you do that. So find a creative way to hold on to the wrist and drop the shoulder. So if you have particularly long arms or a short torso, that might happen. Take another breath. And then slowly let everything come back to neutral. Again, shake it out in any way that feels right. Sometimes the shaking is kind of the fun part. Okay. From here, sitting up well, support from your core as well as your shoulders as your right ear drops over your right shoulder. Draw the shoulders down in opposition. Soften the muscles on the face. Relax the jaw if you need to. You can stay exactly as you are, or maybe your hand reaches out on an angle. The left hand reaches out at about a 45-degree angle. You can kind of play around with that angle and you'll find the sweet spot pretty easily as long as you're listening to your neck. Okay, so you could stay like that, or if you'd like to take something different, it's not necessarily deeper, it's just kind of different. Hand can come behind you, and you can use that right hand to hold on to your left wrist and allow it to go further to the side, continuing to keep your head tilting towards your right. You may need to double check with your shoulders, making sure that they're staying down. Breathe here. Take one more breath. And then slowly coming back up to center, letting the hands come back to your lap if they were anywhere else. Okay. And then from here, we'll actually close out our movement practice by coming into stillness, letting the feet come to the floor evenly, once again, letting your hands rest in your lap, and then allowing your eyes to close. Notice your breath here. Notice any sensation in the body. And if you don't notice a shift from when you first came to this practice today, notice that's okay. Whatever you find is okay. It's not good or bad. Every time you come to your practice, whether it's a movement practice or a mindfulness practice, it's probably going to feel different than the last time you came to it. And it's going to feel different the next time you return. That's kind of the beauty of it. You get to have this new experience, even with things that feel familiar. So as you sit here, sitting up well, with a relaxed upper body and a very supportive, stable lower body, allow the breath to flow naturally. Either breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, or in through the nose and out through the mouth. Or if you're feeling congested today, you can always breathe in and out through the mouth. So at this point, I'd like to lead you through a very quick breathing exercise that is designed physiologically to help you calm down quickly. It's one of my favorite things to teach, especially for people who are new to deep breathing exercises or to meditation or mindfulness. You're welcome to keep your hands in your lap as you sit up well. Your breath can remain neutral, or you can start to deepen it very gradually. Allow yourself to get comfortable with deepening the breath. Your hands can stay in your lap, or you can choose to place one hand over your heart and the other over your belly. And with your hands over your torso, you're not pressing, but noticing if the hands move at all with each inhale and exhale. And if so, noticing if one or both hands move, or if one moves faster or more than the other, or if there's a pause between the area of your heart and the area of your belly with each inhale and exhale. As you deepen the breath, try to get that hand over the belly to move. And if that doesn't happen today, that's okay. This breathing technique is known as diaphragmatic breathing, meaning that the diaphragm, that muscle that controls the pressure in our lungs and how much the lungs inflate and deflate, moves down far enough on each inhale, meaning that the hand over your belly will move if the diaphragm moves down far enough, and stimulates a nerve that sits low enough along the spine called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve sends a signal to the brain anytime that it is stimulated by the diaphragm moving with deep breathing for the brain to quickly relax and go into our resting phase as opposed to our fight or flight phase. When the diaphragm moves down far enough to hit the vagus nerve, it means that we're breathing deeply enough, meaning that we're safe. Meaning that we don't need to be prepared to physically fight or fight something right now. When we're in a more stressed or compressed mode in our bodies or dealing with whatever we have to deal with during the day, we tend to breathe more shallow. So the vagus nerve never gets that signal that we're safe, even though we might be physically. Deep breathing for as little as 1 minute can stimulate that nerve, send that signal to the brain, and make the brain relax, which will make the body soften, which will decrease the amount of stress hormones that are released into our bloodstream that can cause us not so great health outcomes. Just a minute of diaphragmatic breathing, meaning as little as 5 deep breaths, can make a huge difference in your day. You just got to remember to do it. Take 1 or 2 more breaths here, trying to get that bottom hand to move, even if it's ever so slight. Knowing that if the hand moves, it means you've hit that nerve. And when you do it enough times, the brain will get the signal to slow down. After your next exhale, allow the breath to return to a normal or natural pace, which may also feel a little deeper than when you first began. The body actually will hold on to a slightly deeper breath pattern automatically after enough rounds of a deep breath. If your hands are resting on your torso, you can allow them to come back down to your thighs or your lap. And again, notice how you feel. Knowing that whatever you find is neither good or bad. It just is. It's just what your practice was able to provide for you today. Knowing that it will probably be different the next time you come to it. Take a couple more natural, relaxed breaths here as you start to incorporate movement back into the body, starting to gradually bring your awareness back to the room around you. Maybe wiggling the fingers and toes, or even swaying the body slightly side to side. And taking as much time as you need, but when you feel ready, on an exhale, allowing the chin to drop down towards the throat, maybe with a sense of gratitude for being able to do something good for yourself, or maybe just something new for you to learn today, to maybe incorporate bits and pieces into your daily routine to help you feel your best. And again, take as much time as you need, but when you feel ready, gently blinking open your eyes and allowing your head to come back up. And that is today's practice. So feel free to share in the comments or chat if you have any questions, comments, feedback. And I'm going to move my way back towards my laptop so that I can hear a little bit better and switch my mics. So give me a second. So hopefully, Angel, you're still with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
That was awesome. I feel so relaxed and calm now.
I'm glad.
Yes, amazing. Great stretches. And those are a lot of stretches. Like I know me personally, I have a lot of issues with my lower back.
Okay.
So those are some great stretches that I can definitely incorporate into my just daily stretching routine. I do like a lot of movement stretching. So I think those are definitely some things that I can incorporate that will be helpful. And I definitely learned a lot about some of the stretches you were speaking that like are hip flexors, but they could be really helpful for your back. I definitely took note of those. So if you all are watching us live, then you can definitely replay this video again if you want to try some of these stretches out and you just want to walk through it again. I definitely encourage you to definitely take note of this link, save this link, bookmark it to your tab so that you are able to watch this video again because it had some good stuff. So I think I'll definitely be rewatching just the workshop portion for sure.
Yeah, and remember that the link that I think you already included in the description for the video,
Yes.
There's 5 stretches that has photos and text description for you to be able to print out
Wonderful.
or pull up as a PDF for you to practice a 5-minute 5 stretch practice that reviews really the greatest hits of like what will help you feel your best during the workday.
Wonderful. So if people want to kind of incorporate this practice, a lot of people, I did ask when people registered if they were beginners or if they already had a yoga practice. The majority of everyone said either they're beginners or they've never done yoga at all before. So what are some of your tips and tricks for kind of incorporating this and making this a daily practice?
Honestly, it kind of depends on what motivates you. So either using the power of your schedule. So I live and die by my Outlook calendar, and I block out 5 to 15 minutes of this is when I'm going to do a stretch break. And usually I prioritize it to be right before a meeting that I know I need to be like on for or that I need to actually present for. So that's how I usually recommend that people get started. Like you actually block it out and set that that time for yourself if it's not going to be intuitive for you. And even you start small. Maybe you start with one stretch per day that feels good for you, and tie it to something that you know you're going to feel a difference in immediately. So for example, since you said your lower back usually feels sensitive, your go-to beginning stretch could be that you do your ankle to knee, or that you cross the leg, or you do a twist or something like that, that you can immediately get that reward from, and that it's something that you can look forward to.
Okay, definitely. That will be helpful, because I do try to do like stretches in the morning. And I feel like for me, a lot of times my bones crack a lot.
That's fine. Mine do too.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm really surprised that my neck didn't crackle today. Usually that my neck will actually pick that up.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's good to know. If your bones are cracking a little bit, or your joints, it's just your joints that are cracking, right?
It's the joints. It's really the synovial fluid that kind of lubricates the joint. And as long as that doesn't hurt, you're good. If it does cause you pain, then I do recommend consulting with your doctor if a certain movement is causing like a twinge type of sensation when it cracks. But if it doesn't cause you pain, you should be okay. Okay.
Wonderful. So if you all have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comment section, and I'll go ahead and make sure that I ask those questions. So for folks who want to work with you, I know that we talked about your free resource, which is linked in the description box for folks who want to see the stretches that you saw today. If you want to be able to work through them on your own, there's photos and there's some additional information there. So what are some of the other things you offer, and how can people find you and work with you?
Yeah, so I have 2 programs that I am super proud of, one of which I actually developed just a few months ago to help people specifically in managing stress super quickly and wherever you may be working from, and that's the Stress SOS Kit. That is a series of 5 mini yoga practices, 5 mini, meaning 3-minute or less breath exercises to help you calm down super quickly, and 2 additional 5-minute meditations, as well as an ebook with like a little bit of a DIY stretch break checklist, as well as customized music playlist to go with all of those practices if you want it. So I can provide a link. Actually, a link might be provided somewhere in the chat here. It might be broken up.
I'm not sure if that one, I think that second link did not get broken up. So at the top of the chat, if you are joining us live, you will see the link for the, and this is the
Stress SOS.
12 go-to mini yoga and meditation practice. Okay. So Stress SOS, I do not believe that link broke up. So that link is clickable in the comments. The other link broke up. So the first link for the 5-minute yoga poses, that is actually in the description. And then I will go ahead once we're done and make sure I add the link for those who are watching the replay for the kit. That link will be there as well.
Okay. And as you can see here, I put my Instagram handle instead of my full name. So you can find me on Instagram as well as Facebook, LBH Wellness, where I post a ton of self-care tips every week. And if you are on my email list, you'll also get I have fun writing those emails, weekly stress management tips as well. So you can find me on social, and if you want to be added to the email list, let me know. But you'll also be added to the email list if you sign up for the 5-minute office yoga practice free download. So something to look forward to.
Amazing. So do you have anything coming up that you, any events or anything that you're participating in that you would like us to know about? In addition to all of the things that you mentioned, which you will find those links down in the description box for those who are watching the replay.
I actually don't have anything on the schedule for the rest of the year right now, because for my corporate wellness client, I am super, super busy. But I am available for group classes virtually, as well as individual sessions virtually. If you want a personalized practice in real time or even recorded, feel free to reach out to me so you can to help get a little bit of support developing your own personalized stretch break practice, or just diving deeper into your yoga practice. I also teach vinyasa yoga, restorative yoga, in addition to chair yoga.
Nice. So for those who are beginners, again, that's most of the folks that we're talking to, they're beginner folks who are not super familiar with yoga. Why do you think that it's important for folks to begin to have some sort of, even if it's a very simple yoga practice, why do you think it's important for them to incorporate that into their routine for stress management and reduction?
Honestly, yoga is or yoga or mindfulness, however you want to think about it. It's a way for you to strengthen the connection between your mind and your body, which helps you to realize what your stress triggers are, like where they're really coming from, how your body's interpreting them as signals to tell you, okay, I'm stressed. And then finding the most effective, powerful, and just almost fun ways for you to manage your stress, and know that you are capable of taking control of your situation and navigating all of life's challenges. Even though you may not be able to control the source of your stress, you can control how you respond to it with the practices that you know will work for you, which you won't really get to know until you practice, until you explore, until you give yourself this safe space of being able to move freely and comfortably and without judgment of yourself, which you can really only get from a mindfulness-based practice, which could be yoga, which could just be gentle stretching, or a breathwork practice, or just finding comfort in being still and listening to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And we've had, if you joined us for any of our previous conversations, or if not, I encourage you to go ahead and check out my page. She is Angel Mills on YouTube. Go ahead and click the like button if you enjoyed this video. Go ahead and subscribe. I have a lot of previous conversations, and I can't remember if I've already created a playlist for all of them, but if not, I will be doing that tonight. Creating a playlist for all of the videos in the business, health and wellness series, so that folks can understand why it's so important to have that connection between your mind and your body, and how that really attributes to having a successful business and being able to think about your business in a healthy way. So I don't think we have any questions in the comments. So is there anything before we wrap up, Laura, that you want to make sure you share? Any parting words, any parting wisdom?
Yeah. First of all, just thank you to those of you who attended live. Thanks to those of you who may be watching the replay. And know that if any other questions come up, you're more than welcome to reach out to me on social using the LBH Wellness handle for Instagram or Facebook. Or you can always email me, Laura, Laura, at lbhwellness.com.
So what's your email again? Can you repeat your email again?
Laura, Laura, my first name, at lbhwellness.com.
Okay. That should pop up below, I think. Let's see.
Okay.
There we are.
I see it.
Now you can see us. So go ahead and email Laura, and then you also see the links for all of those resources that we mentioned below if you would like to join us for any of our future conversations. I'm also going to include that link below for those who are watching the replay, so that you are able to sign up, join us, see what our future conversations are going to be. You get so much out of these conversations when you're able to join live. So we know the replays are awesome, but if you're able to join us live, we definitely want to have you there. So thank you so much again, Laura. If you want to go ahead and stay on, I'm going to end the broadcast. So thanks for all of those in the internet universe who are joining us, and you have a great rest of your evening.